accused of shooting and killing Martin has hired a second attorney. Investigators say George Zimmerman admitted to killing Trayvon last month after calling the police to report a suspicious person. Zimmerman says the shooting was self-defense and hasn't been arrested. Now, he's hired Hal Uhrig for his defense team. Uhrig tells Orlando television station WOFL why he took the case.
If you look at the media, the particular national media, you look at the state attorney's office, the special prosecutor, FDLE, the U.S. Justice Department, and Craig has been standing in there tall, trying to stand up for this guy. I think it's time that we have just a little bit more effort put into putting the truth out and getting George's story out.
Now, what's interesting here, neither of Zimmerman's attorneys has met with him in person. They've only talked over the phone. Uhrig tells WOFL why it's not important for him to meet Zimmerman.
There's been a pretty thorough investigation ongoing in this case. There are cases where I want to hear my client's version, look in his eye and see if I believe him or not. In this case, I understand the Sanford police have already given him a voice stress test. He passed that. The evidence seems to support his version of what happened, so I don't necessarily need to look him in the eye.
We've also learned an investigator for the special prosecutor has questioned Trayvon's girlfriend. She was on the phone with him when Zimmerman says he confronted Trayvon. Well, let's bring in my guests, criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson and Boyce Watkins, a professor at Syracuse University and founder of YourBlackWorld.com. Joey, I don't know what to say. I think if I was an attorney, I would want to meet with someone I'm representing. It's like me being an investigator and saying, you know what, I don't need to speak to the suspect. Somebody else has already given a voice stress test. He's already spoken with somebody else, but I'm the lead investigator, but I don't really need to talk to him. Are you kidding me?
No, You're absolutely right, Mike. At some point, there absolutely has to be a face-to-face meeting. He talked about he doesn't have to look him in the eye. Of course you do. You have to speak with your client. You have to get to the essence of the facts, and you can't rely upon other things. Particularly, as you know, Mike, in this case, there may not be a grand jury. In fact, the special prosecutor has indicated that she may move forward with charges in the absence of the grand jury, because in Florida, you only need a grand jury if it's going to be a capital offense. And so, therefore, as matters develop and this thing moves like a freight train, he had better get with his client. And the other thing is he might want to hire even another lawyer, because it looks like, you know, it may be a pretty high-profile case and certainly one that needs to be defended vigorously.
But, Boyce Watkins, the clock is ticking here. We're coming down to less than a week now that grand jury could be impaneled if Special Prosecutor Angela Corey doesn't file charges or decides to file charges.
Yeah, I think the clock is ticking, and I think that's why there is a sense of urgency here to move forward with this prosecution. I think many of us don't understand why Zimmerman has not yet been arrested. I'm still wondering why that hasn't happened. And my position has been pretty simple in the sense that I feel that the investigations need to go all the way to the top, because we need to find out why this investigation was botched the way that it was, why Zimmerman has never been brought to justice for the other offenses that he's committed in the past. I think it's not out of question to wonder if the son of a judge gets treatment that's different from the rest of us. And if that's the case, that means that the prosecutions have to go all the way to the top, and we have to wake up and really smell the corruption that may be going on in the Sanford community.
You know, Joey Jackson, I look back at all the things that have been put out by Sanford Police. I just have to bring this up because this is a press release from March 12th. This investigation will be completed today. There will be a meeting of the investigative team this afternoon to ensure all investigative tasks have been completed. We have canvassed the community several times in an effort to identify all witnesses. And you know what, Joey? This was to the news media. So they wonder why we keep asking questions. This is, no. I mean, are you kidding me?
Mike, I think look, they had no idea the avalanche, the public support that would be, that would come to this case, that would look, and everybody would be concerned about getting to the root cause of why this thing happened, analyzing the law, analyzing George Zimmerman's conduct or misconduct, making determinations as to whether the police acted properly, did they follow protocol, was every stone unturned, and I don't think they had any idea of the public backlash, not only with regard to that community, but throughout the country. We've seen the marches, the protests, and all we could ever hope for is that if there is a grand jury, it's investigated thoroughly, and if the prosecution happens in the absence of a grand jury, that an actual jury hears, assesses the case, and ultimately does justice, and that's what everybody wants, Mike.
And, you know, Boyce Watkins, Angela Corey has never, she says never, waited for things to go to a grand jury. So we should hear something the next day or so.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I think that we have to be clear that George Zimmerman has every right to justice that Trayvon Martin has. I don't think that anybody should convict him before the investigations are complete and before the system has run its course, while at the same time, I think that we have to really be critical on this, because I get a sense that there is nervousness within certain public officials within Sanford who are concerned that this investigation is going to uncover some of the misconduct that they've committed. Remember, when Trayvon was first killed, they had no idea that this case was going to become a global phenomenon that it's become. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I think there are a lot of people that may end up trying to cover their backsides and doing things that may not be according to the letter of the law.
Well, I think that we'll be taking a look at, and we'll be taking a look at that and a lot of other aspects, where a lot of questions remain unanswered tonight. Boyce Watkins, Joey Jackson, thanks as always for your insightful comments on this case.
Pleasure, Mike.
April is autism.